Okay, you have the Green Bay Packers. They lost their biggest wide receiver, Devontae Adams, like the Chiefs did, and they replaced him with a draft pick. I don't remember who it is, but second round wide receiver they traded up for. Honestly, their offense didn't really improve on it much. They still have Tunyon, they still have Rogers, they still have Lazard. But I think their offense is going to be good, just not as good as it has been the last couple of years. I think on their defense, I think they're going to be a top five defense. Their secondary is stacked. The Green Bay Packers. Their cornerbacks have Douglas, Alexander, Jarrett, and Stokes, and they have a pair of good safeties, and they drafted on the linebacker and defensive line. So I think their defense is going to kill you. You have your first game versus Minnesota. So last year, Green Bay's first game against the Saints, they got totally blown out. So yeah, and Minnesota's a tough opponent. They have a lot of talent. They have Kirk Cousins, not a bad QB, two great wide receivers, Dalvin Cook, and their defense. They still have some star players. So I think this is going to be a tight game. And I think that Minnesota's rushing attack is just going to be too much. I'm going to take the Vikings. Then you have the Packers versus the Bears. I think Bears are rebuilding right now, and as Aaron Rodgers said, they own the Bears, and I believe that's I'm going to take the Packers. Then you have them versus Tampa Bay, and I don't know, Tampa Bay, I do think there's on a slight decline, but they still have Tom Brady, and I think it's going to be a very, very good game, but I think Tampa Bay's home field advantage will come in handy. I'm going to take Tampa Bay. Then you have the New England Patriots. I just don't think the Patriots' offense is good enough to keep up with the Packers, and I don't think their defense is good enough to carry them this year like they did last year or something. The Packers. Then you have them versus the Giants. I still think they're rebuilding. Their team's just not that good. I'm like the Packers. Then you have them versus the Jets. Like I said, this is early in the year. Jets did have a very good draft and a good free agency, but their team is just not good enough, and experience is usually better than flashy. So Packers. Then you have them versus Washington. 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 I don't know. They're kind of in the middle right now. They're not great, but they're not terrible. Definitely a trap game, especially in their home stadium. But I think Rodgers' experience as he is won't let the Washington defensive line get to him, and I think the Green Packers defense will shut down the Commanders' offense, and Carson Wentz. So like Packers. Then you have them versus the Bills. I think the Bills are probably one of the best team, if not like top three. Um, I think Bills are coming off a bye. They have home field advantage. They still have Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, Davis. So I think their wide receiver and offensive line, I still think is slightly of a weak spot. And a good defense, I'm like the Bills. Then you have them versus the Lions. Definitely a team like most divisional games is, but I don't think they'll fall into it. I'm gonna take the Packers. Then you have them versus Dallas. Dallas is coming off a bye, and usually teams either get better or worse after the bye. And Dallas, I think they did get slightly worse in the offseason, but they still have a very talented team. CeeDee Lamb, Dak Prescott, and a good defense with Michael Parsons and Diggs. So I think this is going to be definitely a trap game for the Packers, and I think I'm going to pick the set against with that, and I'm side with Dallas. Then you have them versus Tennessee. Tennessee, an interesting team. They have definitely have Derrick Henry, and this is a Thursday night game in Green Bay. They have to travel to Green Bay at night, so I think the home field advantage is just going to be way too much for the Titans. I'm gonna take the Packers. Then you have them versus the Eagles. Eagles are going to be good this year. I'm not sure how good they'll be. They definitely have talent, but I think the Packers defense is going to be too much for them. I don't think Jalen Hurts or any of their wide receivers are going to do well against the Packers defense. And the Eagles defense, I think it's going to be a good Eagles defense this year, but Aaron Rodgers knows good defenses, so I'm going to take the Packers still. Then you have them versus the Bears. Bears, I still think they're rebuilding at this point, and even though it's a divisional game, I think it's going to be a lot closer than the first one, but still, Packers are going to come away with the win. Then you have them versus the Rams. They're coming off by Rams are traveling to Green Bay. it's going to be a Monday nighter. It's going to be cold in Green Bay. It's too much of a home field advantage. The Rams are just as talented as the Packers are, but home field advantage is such an advantage. And then you have them versus the Dolphins. Similar to what I just said about Packers, they have home field advantage, being it not cold in Miami, even in December. Dolphins, at this point, they're either going to be good or bad. I think this is going to be definitely a trap game for it. And after coming off 3 straight wins, coming off a big win against the Rams, Dolphins, they're going to upset the Packers. Then you have them versus the Vikings. I don't think the Vikings are going to sweep the Packers. Packers are too good. Divisional game. I won't give it the Packers. Then you have them versus the Lions. Like I said, divisional game. Lions, I think this is gonna be the final game. What the record is 11-5 at this point. So I think they'll have the division by now, depending on how the Vikings do. But I think they'll be a game ahead of the Vikings after beating them and getting the division. So normally I pick Packers to win it in this game, but I don't think that Packers will have anything to play for. They aren't good enough to get the number 1 seed, but they already won the division. So in this game, I'm gonna pick the Lions, and I think the Lions have a good chance to upset the Packers and split with them. So there you have it. I have them going 11-6, 4-2 in the division, 7-2 at home, 4 away, and there you have it. My Green Bay Packers predictions for next year.